Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. Study to know what trust is. They'll violate at any moment. Minorities, they don't be on it. Walk on eggshells, keep it cautious. Anxiety, I'm feeling nauseous. Ignorance is bliss till you learn what the cost is. Said Moors, we on the rise. Look at us now. Push the mission forward. Make the prophet proud. Noble Jew Ali, welcome to the city. 4th generation. No, he walking with me, more shit. Woke up, realized I was on a war ship. Trading me like chattel property. Trading places, playing Monopoly. Authentic, can't copy me. Lies, can't rock with me. Truth, ever sharpens me. Love, despite you mocking me.
Peace, family. What's good? It's your brother Cool. Hey, man. So we out here in the fog today. It's foggy. Can't see not a damn thing. So, happy Moon Day, everybody. I feel like I'm back to myself again. It was my incarnation day on Friday, so had a little bit of fun this past weekend. I got reminded of why I made a lot of changes in my life. And so it's just a reminder and a reaffirmance that I'm going to keep pushing forward with those changes I made in my life, particularly dealing with drinking, man. Yeah. I used to drink heavy when I was younger, high school, college days, man. I am not that man. I tell you that much. I am far cry from what that guy used to be. But I'm making this video today because I've been getting emails from a lot of fellow Moors inquiring about the injunction, and they wanted me to go more in depth in the injunction, which I am. So this is, particularly one set where I'm going to go in, and then, of course, we're going to have different portions of this lecture where, I get a little bit more intricate in the details. But essentially, injunction. An injunction is a restraining order on a large scale. So you know how people get restraining orders against someone? Hey, you can't come within 500 feet of me, or you can't come within 1,000 feet of me. Or else, you'll be in breach of the restraining order or the injunction, and then consequences can follow. Like if you breach that injunction, you can be hauled off to jail, or other things can happen, depending on how you act, right? So this is where the history has to come into play, y'all, because you got to understand, and overstand what's happening right now. So for one, we were never brought here from Africa, right? We were always here. So that's the number one most important factor you need to comprehend. We were always here. We were never brought from nowhere. We were here, and we are still here till this very day. Okay? That's the number one factor. The number two factor is that don't forget that Christopher Columbus was a missionary, y'all. And he was granted authorization to go on his mission by King Ferdinand and Castile and Queen Isabella. Okay? So, understanding that Columbus was funded for his mission, and his mission was to enslave the so-called pagans and, bring everything under the jurisdiction of Christ. So-called. All right? That was his mission. So he was a missionary. So you got to understand that part of the injunction is that when the Pope put out the papal bull, pretty much explaining the fact that they're coming to take over the lands of the indigenous peoples. Okay, that is an edict that was put out. So essentially, that was a declaration that was put out, saying that all lands belonging to pagans are under the jurisdiction of Christ, and Columbus was the one spearheading that mission. Okay, so once you comprehend that and you realize that the doctrine of discovery is a declaration, y'all, right, made out against the indigenous peoples. So if you never rescind or revoke or have something formally stated to where you are revoking that for the record, then it stands as law that you're still under that contract. So it really comes down to contracts, y'all. So the purpose of an injunction is to, one, create some space for yourself. Hey, I need you to maintain some space. I need you to respect my space. Otherwise, there'll be consequences for that. Punitive or civil. Or I could say both, right? And then from there, so the injunction. Now the injunction deals with two different things. An injunction deals with diversity of citizenship, and then an injunction deals with a federal question. So the federal question being that, is this act constitutional? Does it go against the Constitution? Is it for the Constitution? If it's not constitutional, then it's null and void. Okay? So, with that being said, understanding that it's contracting. Once you rescind the doctrine of discovery, and then you have to, who would be the defendant of that? The defendants of that you will have to make the state. So that will be the governor of the particular state territory you are domiciling in. So whoever that governor is, that is the man or woman doing business as the state, of whom will be the defendant on that injunction, because the injunction is dealing with federal. You're not, this is why it's a diversity of citizenship issue. Same thing with our injunction over here. Diversity of citizenship. Am I a resident of Washington? No. I'm a non-resident alien. Why? Because I was here before. There was Washington. Before it was Washington, it was called Wool-Shoot-Seat. So before this was Washington or Seattle, this was Wool-Shoot-Seat. Okay? So this has always been here, way before any corporate colonial powers took over. So essentially what I'm saying is, if you don't have an injunction in place, rescinding the doctrine of discovery and putting the governor on blast, because the governor is essentially the plantation owner. So all these states are plantations, and the governor is the owner of the plantation. So this is why, and I'll also be continuing another video too, going into the Northwest Ordinance, because that's also dealing with the position of the governor. All right, the governor is essentially the president in every state. So for every state there is a governor, that governor is the president. Okay, and you got to understand the states have been around longer than the United States of America. States have been in existence longer. So understand that when we're dealing with these states, we're dealing with semi-ancient stuff. It's not old, but it's pretty old. It's older than it's older than the federal government we're dealing with today. All right. So this is why the federal government had to be implemented to put everyone on the same page, because a lot of these states are so old. It's kind of like, the senior thing. You get old to a point where no one can tell you shit, because you're seniority. So think about the same thing with these states, because all these states are personalities. So all these persons who've been around for a long 100, 200, 300 years, you know what I'm saying? Federal government can't tell them shit. I mean, they can, but they're really not trying to hear it. So they're a little bit more stubborn than these more modern states. But either way you look at it, federal's there to step in. So the state cannot supersede federal jurisdiction. However, it is your job to make sure your ass is underneath federal protections. If your ass is not underneath federal jurisdiction, don't talk about challenging jurisdiction of the state. And what do I mean when I say you need to be under federal jurisdiction? That means you need to be lined up with your shit needs to be lined up with Social Security Administration. Your shit needs to be lined up with the Supreme Court of that state, because the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. So you need to get your name change petition popping. And I'm going to tell y'all one thing. Everyone's going to need that court order signed by a judge. You know why? Because the Department of State ain't accepting anything but a court order signed by a judge. So guess what, y'all? Y'all going for y'all passports? Bureau of Consular Affairs? You're going to need that court order signed by a judge. Explaining or certifying your name change. So guess what, y'all? Brother Cool going to have to do it too. But that lets me know this is the universal process everyone must go through. Even in other countries, go through the name change petition. The biggest thing is you should come in and name your ancestors. No matter where you are in the Americas, your last title should be El Beyde Al or Ali on that passport. And if you're from another country, you coming over here, it's okay. Get your visa. Get your visa. Just understand that in their public records, your ass need to be identified as an American Indian. Okay? Because you are indigenous to North, South, Central America. And because you are indigenous, this is where the injunction comes into play. Because now we need to have a restraining order to keep away these new people that were not here previously to secure our safety and our identity as peoples. So that we don't go through what they call gentrification or genocide, which is really one and the same. So the purpose of the injunction is to make sure that the state is fully aware that you do have a holy covenant in place. See, these things are put in place to remind niggas, okay? So we have an injunction here to remind niggas that, yo, we got a treaty with y'all. And the treaty is the supreme law of the land. So don't violate the treaty, we won't violate your shit. You know what I'm saying? Respect me, I respect you. And that's how it needs to be. And you should be in an agreement with the state. And they all have processes. You register your shit as a religious organization, and then you start speaking or communicating with the executive department of every state. And the executive department includes the Secretary of State, etc., governor, lieutenant governor, yada yada. So an injunction is crucial. And an injunction is filed in district court, meaning it's filed at the Supreme Court level, right? Because us Moors deal with the supreme law of the land, so that means we're going to take it to the Supreme Court. We're going the governor is going to be the defendant, because the governor is the acting plantation owner, and we are declaring that we are not slaves of this plantation. Okay? You know what I'm saying? We're under the jurisdiction of the Sultan of Morocco. And the Sultan being, oh no, the Sultan wasn't my king. No, the Sultan was my brother. He was my fellow Moor. We shared the same bloodline. You understand? He just happened to have a position. No different than today. I could say Denzel Washington is my brother. Only difference between me and him is he got a bigger bank account. Right? We both still melanated though, right? We both still share the same Moorish bloodline, right? We both still American, right? All right. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So keep that in mind, family. I hope that gave a little bit more clarity on the injunction. And then we're going to get more in depth in the process as we go along. So Islam, let's go.
Peace. Islam family. It's Brother Coop. Okay, perfect. What's going on with you? So, as y'all can see today, we're continuing the lesson dealing with, we're going to continue the lesson dealing with Northwest Ordinance. All right. From the last live I did on that particular topic, we left off at section number 12. Okay, so we're going to continue off from section 12, and we're going to finish this off. Now, if you didn't catch part 1, I would suggest that you do that. Northwest Ordinance, Wills and Estates, part 1, I believe. Okay, so let's get right into it, beginning from section 12. The governor, judges, legislative council, secretary, and such other officers as Congress shall appoint in the district shall take an oath or affirmation of fidelity and of office. The governor before the president of Congress and all other officers before the governor. As soon as a legislature shall be formed in the district, the council and house assembled in one room shall have authority by joint ballot to elect a delegate to Congress, who shall have a seat in Congress with a right of debating but not voting during this temporary government. Once again, this government is temporary. Okay? So, this is essentially the process in section 12, where they lay out how a person is elected into Congress. Okay? And so it's letting you know now, the governor, judges, legislative council, secretary, and such other officers as Congress shall appoint in a district shall take an oath of affirmation or fidelity and of office. So this is why we deal with the executive office, because they're the ones that are actually under oath to the Constitution. Like for real. Like not just like, arbitrarily. They are actually on oath to the Constitution. That is the governor, the judges, the legislative council, secretary, meaning the secretary of state, and such other officers, also the secretary of the treasury for that state, and such other officers as Congress shall appoint in a district. So they're letting you know right now in section number 12, who's who. Who are the heavy hitters? The governor is the A of all things. So everything that is taking place in the state is under the jurisdiction or under the watch of the governor. So if you have any issues, the governor should be one of the primary peoples on your list. Okay? Because the governor has an oath of affirmation of fidelity. Let's look up what fidelity means real quick. Fidelity means faithfulness to a person, cause, or belief, demonstrated by continuing loyalty and support. Synonyms: loyalty, allegiance, obedience. Okay? So, when it says here that the governor, judges, legislative council, secretary, and such other officers as Congress shall appoint in the district shall take an oath of affirmation of fidelity. And an affirmation is of your own right. When someone says I affirm, that means I, in my own right, I do authorize. So that is what that is, an affirmation of loyalty or an affirmation of allegiance and of the office that they're holding. Okay? And so it says here, the governor before the president of Congress and all other officers before the governor. The governor before the president of Congress and all other officers before the governor. Oh, meaning they shall take an oath. Okay? So pretty much all these people here, the governor, judges, legislative council, secretary, and such other officers as Congress shall appoint in a district shall take an oath of affirmation, meaning everyone who holds an office has to have taken an oath of affirmation, of fidelity, meaning an oath of allegiance. To what? The Constitution. Now, as soon as a legislature shall be formed in a district, the council and house assembled in one room shall have authority by joint ballot to elect a delegate to Congress. Okay? Who shall have a seat in Congress with a right of debating but not voting during this temporary government. Meaning that every state shall elect one delegate to Congress. Meaning Congress is consisting of one delegate from each of the several states, which make up the United States of America, in General Congress assembled. Okay? Section number 13. And for extending the fundamental principles of civil and religious liberty, liberty meaning freedom, right? Which form the basis whereon these republics, their laws, and constitutions are erected. So that lets you know right there off Jump Street. The republic is built off of civil and religious freedom. Civil meaning contracts. Okay? So civil. Okay? Civil meaning relating to ordinary citizens and their concerns as distinct from military or ecclesiastical matters. Synonyms: secular, non-religious. Okay? So, civil. Now let's look at civil in its legal. This is what we're dealing with when we talk about civil. And that part of the law that I know states, domestic relations, meaning relations, accidents, negligence, and everything related to legal issues, statutes, and lawsuits. That is not criminal law. In a few areas, civil and criminal law may overlap or coincide. For example, a person may be liable under a civil lawsuit for negligently killing a pedestrian with his auto or running over the person and being charged with the crime of vehicular homicide due to his or her reckless driving. Okay? So civil liberties or civil freedoms is dealing with business, contracts, estates. Okay? So you taking possession of your is part of your civil freedoms. Okay? And then you also have your religious freedoms. So you know that religion, as far as the law, means trust. Okay? So you have the freedom to contract, or the freedom to get into the business realm, to be industrious. And you also have the freedom to secure everything you gain in your trust. The right to contract and the right to secure the property that you gain from your contracts. Okay? And these two things, civil and religious freedom, form the basis of these republics. Okay? So, also, to fix and establish those principles as the basis of all laws, constitutions, and governments, which forever hereafter shall be formed in that territory, to provide also for the establishment of states and permanent government therein, and for their admission to a share in the federal councils on an equal footing with the original states, at as early periods as may be consistent with the general interests. So let's go over this again. First of all, just laying the fact that the basis of the republic is religious and civil liberty, okay, or freedom. Also laying down that the foundation of all states to be established shall be based on civil and religious liberty. This is why in every constitution you will find an article dealing with religious rights or religious freedoms. Okay? So this is the basis of all the state republics, which forever hereafter shall be formed in the said territory, to provide also for the establishment of states. Right? So the states shall be established on these two things, civil and religious liberty. The permanent government therein, meaning the structure, the way they do things, how they operate, right? Their mode of operandi, and for their admission to a share, okay? Meaning that their admission, meaning they're being welcome to a seat at the table, a share in the federal councils. So now we're dealing with federal. A share in the federal councils on an equal footing with the original states. Okay? So what that's saying is all of the several states that make up the United States of America, each state has a contract with the United States of America. Or I should say each, yeah, I said it right. Each state has a contract with the United States of America to operate, right, via land grants, right, which have been ceded to the so-called state, which they're holding on behalf of the people. So each state, because they ceded some land to the federal government, they now have a share, okay, in the federal council. So this is how you know the United States of America is legit, because it is encompassing all of the original states, okay, the state republics, okay. Section 14. It is hereby ordained and declared by the authority aforesaid that the following articles shall be considered as articles of compact, compact meaning contract or agreement, between the original states and the people and states in the said territory, and forever remain unalterable, unless by common consent to wit. This is very, very important, y'all. I'm going to read this one more time. It is hereby ordained and declared by the authority aforesaid that the following articles shall be considered as articles of compact between the original states. The original states. Who do you think the original states were? The same way how they say, who are the original people of this land? Who are the original states? Who was in charge of the original states? Okay. The original states and the people and states in the said territory, and forever remain unalterable unless by common consent to it. So let's go. No person, Article 1 of Section 14, no person demeaning himself in a peaceable and orderly manner shall ever be molested on account of his mode of worship or religious sentiments in the said territory. Know what that means? That means you can be yourself in your natural habit in society as long as you are maintaining peace, meaning you're living according to your own divine tenets and customs, which is all about maintaining peace in orderly manner. You shall not be molested on the account of you being within your natural habit, meaning you're abiding to your religious culture and your traditions. You can never be molested, meaning you can never be molested on your religious, for your religious creed. This is why everything is done in alignment with religion, because it cannot be discriminated against. You know why? Because religious freedom and the freedom to make contracts is the basis of a republic. You don't have a republic without religious freedoms and the freedom to make contracts. Think about that. Okay. So this is a compact between the original states and the people. Okay? And states in the said territory. And forever remain unalterable, never changed, unless by common consent, meaning everyone agrees. Article 2. The inhabitants of the said territory shall always be entitled to the benefits of the writ of habeas corpus and of the trial by jury, of a proportionate representation of the people in the legislature, and of judicial proceedings, according to the course of the common law. All persons shall be bailable, unless for capital offenses where the proof shall be evident or the presumption great. All fines shall be moderate, and no cruel or unusual punishment shall be inflicted. No man shall be deprived of his liberty. Liberty means freedom. No man shall be deprived of his liberty or property, but by the judgment of his peers, or the law of the land. And should the public exigencies make it necessary for the common preservation to take any person's property or to demand his particular services, full compensation shall be made for the same. And in the just preservation of rights and property, it is understood and declared that no law ought ever to be made or have force in the said territory that shall in any manner whatever interfere with or affect private contracts or engagements bona fide and without fraud previously formed. Let's read that last part again, y'all. That's a doozy. It is understood and declared that no law ought ever be made or have force in the said territory that shall in any manner whatever interfere with or affect private contracts or engagements. Hello. What this is saying is that your higher self is forever protected and sustained. Private is higher self. Okay. And this is also relating to private property, meaning private property cannot be utilized or taken without full compensation or your services. And any laws, right? It says here in the course of the common law. Now, common law is based on what your religious creed is. Common law is based on who your ancestors are. Common law is based on your ancestors' way of living and how you choose to live in honor of that. So everyone's common law is a little bit different. Like Christians' common law is different from a Muslim's common law. I just keep it simple like that. Okay, so common law is common, but it's not common to all people unless you share that common bloodline or common ancestral lineage. If that ain't common, there ain't no common law in there for you. Common law is based on the common law of your ancestors as a collective. Okay? So the laws of your ancestors, that is your common law. Okay? Common law isn't common to everyone. Common law is actually very specific. Okay? So once again, it's just ensuring you that all private property is personal, and no man shall be deprived of his liberty or property. This right here is the Fourth Amendment. I don't know if y'all realize that, but we're reading the Northwest Ordinance here. But right here in Article 2, this is the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution in the Bill of Rights. Right here. Talking about private property. Okay? No man. It says no man, not no person. So you got to be a man. And a man has a nationality. Okay? A man has knowledge of self, and a man is an elector. A man is one of the people. A man is in possession or ownership of his estate. Okay? Article 3. Religion, morality, and knowledge. Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind. Schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. The utmost good faith shall always be observed towards the Indians. Their lands and property shall never be taken from them without their consent, and in their property, rights, and liberty they shall never be invaded or disturbed, unless in just and lawful wars authorized by Congress. Say that one more time. Their lands shall never be what? Their lands and property shall never be taken from them without their consent, and in their property, rights, and liberty, freedom, they shall never be invaded or disturbed, unless in just and lawful wars authorized by Congress. But laws founded in justice and humanity shall from time to time be made for preventing wrongs being done to them, and for preserving peace and friendship with them. What that sound like to you, y'all? Maybe it's related to a treaty of peace and friendship. You understand? And we now know what Congress means. It means delegates or emissaries or representatives from different sovereignties, meaning different peoples, different nations. Okay? That's what Congress is. So once again, Congress is holding a representative from each particular state. Okay? That's what Congress is doing. You understand what I'm saying? So, along with that, this is how you know that the several states are foreign to each other, because the laws of one state cannot dictate the laws in another state. So they are foreign. It is international law. Okay? But they all do agree that they have to respect religion, morality, and knowledge, because knowledge is the root of all things. So you can't have a good government unless the people are knowledgeable in what's happening. They're knowledgeable in the real history. They're knowledgeable in how this particular government functions. Okay? You understand what it says? Happiness to mankind. So here's a biggie, right? The utmost good faith shall always be observed towards the Indians. Their lands and property shall never be taken from them without their consent, and in their property, rights, and liberty they shall never be invaded or disturbed, unless in just and lawful wars authorized by Congress. So this is why they always go hard for the wars, because the wars is what makes it just for them to usurp Indian lands and property. Think about it. So war is the doorway. Okay? War is the doorway to taking over people's property. Article 4. The said territory and the states which may be formed therein shall forever remain a part of this Confederacy of the United States of America. Let's say that one more time, y'all. The said territory and the states which may be formed therein shall forever remain a part of this Confederacy of the United States of America, subject to the Articles of Confederation. And this right here is dealing with Article 6. Okay? and to such alterations therein as shall be constitutionally made, and to all the acts and ordinances of the United States in Congress assembled, conformable thereto. The inhabitants and settlers in the said territory shall be subject to pay a part of the federal debts contracted or to be contracted, and a proportional part of the expenses of government to be apportioned on them by Congress according to the same common rule and measure by which apportionments thereof shall be made on the other states. And the taxes for paying their proportion shall be laid and levied by the authority and direction of the legislatures of the district or districts or new states, as in the original states, within the time agreed upon by the United States in Congress assembled. The legislatures of those districts or new states shall never interfere with the primary disposal of the soil by the United States in Congress assembled, nor with any regulations Congress may find necessary for securing the title in such soil to the bona fide purchasers. No tax shall be imposed on the lands, the property of the United States, and in no case shall non-resident proprietors be taxed higher than residents. The navigable waters leading into the Mississippi and St. Lawrence, and the carrying places between the same, shall be common highways and forever free, as well to the inhabitants of the said territory as to the citizens of the United States, and those of any other states that may be admitted into the Confederacy, without any tax, impost, or duty therefor. So it's just letting you know that this is still a Confederacy. The United States of America is a Confederacy. It's still live and in full effect. Okay? It's live and in full effect. Now remember now, they speak of the inhabitants, they speak of citizens, and they speak of settlers. We fall under the term of Indians in this particular document. Okay? And there are no liens against the Indians. Okay? It's really just that simple. The utmost faith shall be given to the Indians, right here. Now, unless you recognize the fact you are an American Indian, not an Indian, I understand that. But as far as the public status is concerned, you are an American Indian and white person. Period. Or I should say, your person is an American Indian and white person. Okay? That is who they are. You are a Moor, one of the people of North, South, Central America. Okay. And now, mind you, remember, each state ceded lands to the federal government. So that means that the inhabitants and settlers, meaning the citizens of that particular state, this is why they pay the taxes, because they're paying a part of the federal debts contracted to or to be contracted. And each state has a contract with the federal government. Yes, they do. All right, so this is why each state citizens pay taxes. Okay? Now, Article 5. There shall be formed in the said territory not less than 3 nor more than 5 states, and the boundaries of the states, as soon as Virginia shall alter her act of secession and consent to the same, shall become fixed and established as follows to wit. The western state in the said territory shall be bounded by the Mississippi, the Ohio, and Wabash rivers. A direct line drawn from the Wabash and Post Vincent's due north to the territorial line between the United States and Canada. Okay? And by the said territorial line to the Lake of the Woods in Mississippi, the middle state shall be bounded by the said direct line. The Wabash from Post Vincent's to the Ohio, by the Ohio, by a direct line drawn due north from the mouth of the Great Miami. to the said territorial line, and by the said territorial line, the eastern states shall be bound by the last mentioned direct line to Ohio, Pennsylvania, and the said territorial line, provided, however, and is further understood and declared that the boundaries of these three states shall be subject so far to be altered that if Congress shall hereafter find it expedient, they shall have authority to form one or two states in that part of the said territory which lies north of an east and west line drawn through the southerly bend or extreme of Lake Michigan. And whenever any of the said states shall have 60,000 free inhabitants therein, such state shall be admitted by its delegates into the Congress of the United States. Do you see how that works? Such state shall be admitted by its delegates into the Congress of the United States. So each state has a delegate. But only until they have 60,000 free inhabitants. Free. Not slaves. Free. Okay? Only at that point, meaning 60,000 people who are in possession, who have claimed dominion of their estates. That's what that's saying. Then such state shall be admitted by its delegate into the Congress of the United States on an equal footing with the original states in all respects whatever, and shall be at liberty to form a permanent constitution and state government, provided the constitution and government so to be formed shall be republican and in conformity to the principles contained in these articles, and so far as it can be consistent with the general interests of the Confederacy. Such admission shall be allowed at an early period, and when there may be a less number of free inhabitants in the state than 60,000. Okay? So they're letting you know right now how you form a state within the so-called confines of the United States of America. Gotta have free people in order to be able to have a state. A sovereign state at that. You can't have a sovereign state and there's no free people. There's no free people in that state. How does that work? Okay? So until then, right, until you have free inhabitants who can select a delegate to speak on their behalf, then the Congress, through that, that state, through that delegate, can enter into the Congress of the United States on an equal footing with the original states in all respects, whatever. Okay? Article 6. There shall be neither slavery nor involuntary servitude in the said territory, otherwise than in the punishment of crimes whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. This is why they always make everything a crime. Traveling is a crime. Doing this, you've committed a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime. It's a crime. Why? Because it being a crime allows them to put you into servitude. Okay? Provided always that any person escaping into the same from whom labor or service is lawfully claimed in any one of the original states, such fugitive may be lawfully reclaimed and conveyed to the person claiming his or her labor or service as aforesaid. When they say labor, it really means their body. Be it ordained by the authority aforesaid that the resolutions of the 23rd of April 1784 relative to the subject of this ordinance be and the same are hereby repealed and declared null and void. Done by the United States in Congress assembled. United States in Congress assembled. The 13th day of July in the year of our Lord 1787. And of their sovereignty and independence the 12th. Alright. So this is the Northwest Ordinance. Okay. Now, if we sum up everything in its entirety, what this document is stating is exactly how the United States of America is laid out. Okay? So, check it. They let you know right here. Be it ordained by the authority aforesaid that the estates, both of resident and non-resident proprietors in the said territory, dying intestate. When it says dying intestate, meaning you died and you left no will behind. You died and you left nothing that says, hey, whatever I own should be given to this person, or whatever I own should be held in trust by this person for my children. That's what it means when you die intestate. There was no will left behind. And when you die intestate, what happens is your estate or your property gets thrown into probate. And it gets thrown into probate because there is no will specifying what to do with this property. So since you left this planet without instructions as to what to do with your stuff, now the state gets to make that decision. And God forbid if you actually did leave children behind or family members that could use the property that you're leaving behind, they can't get it. The state's going to take it. And this is why having a trust in place is so important, because having a trust in place bypasses probate court, meaning you won't have to worry about your heirs or your family dealing with any probate court once you transition. Okay, and you can ensure that by having a will in place. And if you want to even go and ensure that now while you're alive without needing the will, you have a trust in place. So a living trust supersedes a will. Okay, it's like a will but on crack. It's a walking, living will. Okay, so that's what a trust is. So once you have a trust in place with your articles and your laws and how you do things and how things are structured, that secures you, okay, as far as the property goes, to make sure it doesn't go into the hands of the state. And when we say the state now, we understand that it doesn't go into the hands of the governor. Okay? Yeah, pretty much dealing with estates and wills and having things in writing and, heirs. So this is all we're talking about. We're talking about estates. Dying intestate shall descend to and be distributed among their children and the descendants of a deceased child in equal parts. The descendants of a deceased child or grandchild to take the share of their deceased parent in equal parts among them. And where there shall be no children or descendants, then in equal parts to the next of kin in equal degree. Meaning if they don't got nobody now, go over to the next generation. They'll have it. Okay? And there shall be in no case be a distinction between kindred of the whole and half-blood. Meaning we're not playing this half-blood, whole-blood stuff. Okay? Blood is blood. Estates in the said territory may be devised or bequeathed by wills in writing, signed and sealed by him or her in whom the estate may be, being of full age. Being of full age, y'all. Being of full age. And attested by 3 witnesses. So, I just want y'all to know. Check this out, right? Check this out. Being of full age shows that you have the competency of an adult, right? So when you realize that you have an estate, right? And that estate, remember, is that birth certificate bond. Now remember now, right? When you authenticate it, right? First of all, when you have a certified copy of your full form or your long form or your authentic or your true form, that has all the information, the time you was born, the signature of the registrar and all that, your parents' information. So that registrar, right? The signature of the registrar, that's one witness. When you send it to the Secretary of State to get the seal from the state where you were born, right? Guess what that is? The Secretary of State is your second witness. Now, once you get that back, right, and you send it out to the Department of State, you send it out to the Department of State, okay? And then that gets signed and sealed by the Secretary of the Department of State. Guess what that is? The third witness. You see how that makes sense? 3 witnesses to certify that you are of full age. Okay? Signed and sealed by him or her in whom the estate may be. In whom the estate may be. So you have an estate. All of us that are domiciling in these state territories have an estate, whether we are resident or non-resident. We are proprietors of an estate, meaning we're the owner of an estate. But are you aware of that? Is the real question. Okay? A full age in whom the estate, okay, I'm sorry, tested by 3 witnesses. This is why we go through the authentication processes. The authentication process of the birth certificate is where you get your 3 witnesses. And real estates may be conveyed by lease and release and bargain and sale, signed and sealed and delivered by the person being of full age, in whom the estate may be, and attested by 2 witnesses, provided such wills be duly proved and such conveyances be acknowledged, or the execution thereof duly proved, which is why you get certain documents notarized, signed, sealed to show proof, and be recorded within 1 year after proper magistrates, courts, and registers shall be appointed for that purpose. The personal property may be transferred by delivery, saving, however, to the French and Canadian inhabitants and other settlers of the Kaskaskis, St. Vincent's, and the neighboring villages who have heretofore professed themselves citizens of Virginia, their laws and customs now in force among them relative to the descent and conveyance of property. See? So that's what happens when we became citizens of Virginia. Now all those laws of property fell underneath the jurisdiction of Virginia, when it should have fell underneath the laws, the ecclesiastical laws of our ancient ancestors, being protected underneath our religion, within our trust. That's how that's supposed to go. Okay? But that's not the case. So this is why it's important to maintain, right? Remember, these publics are built on civil and religious liberty, right? The right to contract and the right to live in the way of our ancestors, our religion. The right to have a trust in place to protect our way of life, to preserve it, and to pass it down onto future generations. That's the whole point. And that's the basis of all these states. And the basis of all these states are within the Confederacy. Okay? So it's all part of the Confederation. And every one of the people has an estate. That's how we know you're one of the people. Do you have an estate? Oh, you do? Okay, yeah, you're one of the people. That's how it works. Okay? So once you comprehend that, now you can see why the injunction is important. I'm going to the injunction. Pull up the injunction real quick. Are we not reading your player? I don't know why I did that. There we go. There we go. We back. Okay, good. You gonna make a comeback? Oh yeah, baby. Yeah. Okay. Actually, let me come back here. I know what I can do. I don't need y'all seeing all my business. You know what I'm saying? So, and got the injunction here, but I'm trying to find. Let's pull this up. Just bear with me, y'all. Just make sure I got the right one. So now we get into this injunction. And so after reading the obviously, as you can see, reading the Northwest Ordinance. Must take this thing so long, huh? Yeah, after reading the Northwest Ordinance, we know precisely who we need to hit when things are violated. Who's the person in charge? Who's the person responsible? We know that to be the governor now. We know that all these states that are republics are built off of civil liberty and religious liberty. So that means everything should be leading with religion. And understanding that religion is your trust, that means that everything should be leading with your trust. And your religious creed being that of your ancestors, in which you're honoring them. So that's what we know right now off that everyone has in the state. The difference between people who are operating both privately and publicly freely and people who are struggling between private and public is due to the fact how you reclaim your estate. Does your private match your public? Is it in harmony? Is your private in harmony with your public? Or are they in disharmony? Is the private saying one thing and the public says another thing? Are you one name in the private and another name in the public? You gotta bring it into harmony. You gotta bring it into harmony. Man, I swear, this thing's taking forever just to open up. I know it's a big document too, so I can't be mad at it like that. Let me just make sure. Okay. That's halfway decent. Let's see. Okay, I think this is a little bit bigger guy. Alright. I don't have the whole injunction on them, but that's okay. I can work with that. And let me just scoop up the injunction here. Thank you guys for waiting. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I can show you what I'm about to do now. Go right to the drive. Of course, anyone who wishes to have access to the university library must become a private member of Suna University. If that's the case, you can email me at sunauniversity@gmail.com. Private information. Put that away. At sunauniversity@gmail.com, and we can build from there. Injunction. Let's go. There you go. I can show this part. Here's what the library is looking like right now. There you go. Okay. Here we go. Alright, how am I keeping it like this? I'm cool with that. Let's make it a little bigger. See the screen here. Alright, y'all. So this is the injunction, okay? Wish. Is that even here? just so y'all can comprehend, you know what I'm saying? Be plain over here. Yes, I know. Should have made sure I had all the stuff prior. But you know what? It be like that. Alright. So. Like I said, I done showed this before, but I want y'all to see for real, that I'm showing this to y'all right. See if I can just do it like this. Alright, look at that. People of Sunashiyama Republic, plaintiff, all foreign agents and agencies of the United States Corporation, Company, ETE, etc. That's the filing number. Okay, that's the date. See, file date, trial date, file date, trial date. Also, okay. Trying to find out what that said. Assigned Judge Mary E. Roberts. Okay, the trial date is 11/5, November 5th, 2018. It was filed November 8th of last year, 2017. Okay. So, just so y'all know, the injunction is very real. Okay? Just so y'all see. If I take it out the plastic, that glossy thing won't be so much. A civil case has been filed in the King County Superior Court and will be managed by the case schedule on page 3. And indeed by the King County Superior Court providing judges. Alright? Just so y'all know I ain't bullshit. And there's the front of it. Okay? Filing number. Filing number. Okay? So, the injunction, like I said, is you making a claim that the doctrine of discovery is null and void, it's ineffective, and the Pope has no jurisdiction over you, being that you're indigenous. You're not a vagabond, or you're not a pagan. Okay? You're a Muslim. So, as you can see, the people of Sunashiyama Republic, because only people can deal in Supreme Court. People. Okay? Yes, this is how it really was. I even put the geographical coordinates in the goddamn injunction. Yes, I did. Complaint and request for injunction. Now, I created this myself, but I got the template from injunction. What was it? The Washington State injunction. Then I took from the template and then I made it my own. Okay? And then you specify, right? All foreign agents and agencies of the United States Corporation Company. See pages 6 to 14. Right? We, the people of Sunashiyama Republic, an ecclesiastical body, politic, and corporate, right? Ecclesiastical body, politic, and corporate, file number 2017-061-6000734, deem it necessary for the survival of our posterity, necessary to separate ourselves from the United States Corporation Company and repatriate back to our inherent state, Morocco, Societas Republicae Estados Americanos. The United States Corporation has no sovereign authority and is a federal corporation, bankrupt and insolvent, affirmed by United States Congressional Record, March 17, 1993, volume 33, page H-1303. The United States is bankrupt and insolvent, therefore all actions to compel the people of the several states are done under a color of law. Remember, we are the people of the several states. The several states meaning the societies, several societies. The Societas Republicae, the Republican societies based off of religion and the ability to contract, meaning the ability to trade and then the ability to respect each other's religion. All right, our national origin and creed. So the basis for jurisdiction, there's two types of bases you deal with in injunctions. That is the basis of a federal question, meaning is the action being taken constitutional? Okay, so the basis for jurisdiction. Basis for federal jurisdiction is vested under 28 U.S.C. 1331. List of the general law, federal statutes, federal treaties, and constitutions that are at issue. So this is where now you list, okay, so what things are at hand? What are the issues? This is what I listed. Constitution for the United States of America, March 4th, 1789, Article 4, Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be conveyed against domestic violence. So you see how in every state they always say this is a democracy? That is the first thing at base. It's unconstitutional. So you have to challenge that. You have to challenge that. Okay? You have to. This is a republic. So if you allow people to walk around and say, God bless this democracy, or this is a democracy, you are stripping yourself of your own power. Now, Constitution for the United States of America, March 4th, 1789, Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. I told you, the Confederation is still alive and in full effect. Okay? We're still a confederacy. So this Constitution and the laws of the United States shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. And the reason why every judge in every state shall be bound thereby is because when we're going through these processes of getting our public squared away and corrected, in order to get the passport, you're going to need a court order signed by the judge. In order to get your name changed, you're going to need to get a court order signed by a judge. Now, this is lining up with the law, y'all. Okay? Because they're looking for the signature by the judge that is bound in every state. And the judge is bound to respect what? The ability to contract and religious freedoms. They're bound. So your religious freedoms are tied to your ability to contract, which is both bound together in our treaty, because our treaty encompasses both our religion and our ability to contract, and the obligation to respect the laws of the state and other people's property. Okay? So, see, right here, the senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. They're letting you know right now they can't discriminate against you based on religion. Now, Article 3, Section 2 states the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. So admiralty and maritime is dealing with commerce. So that's all they're saying. To all cases dealing with commerce. Okay? To all cases dealing with commerce. And guess what? Commerce is international. So to all cases dealing of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, that's international jurisdiction, because commerce is dealing with international law. Okay? So this is all commerce right here. So the Supreme Court, or Article 3, which is the Supreme Court, shall deal with commerce. And commerce is governed by Constitution and treaties. And then, of course, diversity of citizenship. Okay? To controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. Let's keep on going down. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crime shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Congress, hello. Hello. Articles of Confederation, Article 4. Right? The better to secure and perpetuate mutual friendship and intercourse among the people of the different states in this union, the free inhabitants of each of these states, paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice excepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of free citizens in the several states. So are you not a free citizen of one of the several states? And the several states altogether is what makes up the United States of America. And the people of each state shall have free ingress and regress to and from any other state. That's dealing with traveling. And shall enjoy therein all the privileges of trade and commerce, subject to the same duties, impositions, and restrictions as the inhabitants thereof respectively, provided that such restrictions shall not extend so far as to prevent the removal of property imported into any state to any other state of which the owner is an inhabitant, provided also that no imposition, duties, or restriction shall be laid by any state on the property of the United States or either of them. Okay? So no restrictions or impositions shall be laid upon you by the state or the United States. Ain't that something? Why? Because you're the creator of it all. Check this out. If any person guilty of or charged with treason, felony, or other high misdemeanor in any state shall flee from justice and be found in any of the United States, he shall, upon demand of the governor or executive power of the state from which he fled, be delivered up and removed to the state having jurisdiction of his office, of his offense. Governor, full faith and credit shall be given in each of these states to the records, acts, and judicial proceedings of the courts and magistrates of every other state. What does that tell you, y'all? Full faith and credit shall be given in each of these states to the records, acts, and judicial proceedings of the courts and magistrates of every other state. So now this answers the question, if I do something in one state and I move to another state, do I got to redo everything all over again? No. Because the judicial acts of one state shall be given full faith and credit. Okay? Now, this one's a biggie. This is where they got us, y'all. Now, dealing with the District of Columbia, right? Organic Act of 1871, 41st Congress, Section 3, Chapter 62, Section 17. And be it further enacted that the Legislative Assembly shall not pass special laws in any of the following cases: regulating the practice in courts of justice, regulating the jurisdiction or duties of justices of the peace, police, magistrate, or constables, providing for changes of venue in civil or criminal cases, or swearing and impaneling jurors, remitting fines, penalties, or forfeitures, the sale or mortgage of real estate belonging to minors or others under disability. Did y'all realize what that just said? the sale or mortgage of real estate belonging to minors or others under disability. How many people have been foreclosed on who are still under minor capacity? This is the biggie right here. Look at this. Changing the law of descent. Because guess what? By them doing that, that's how they have the ability to escheat our estates. They have to change our descent on paper, which is void. They can't do that right here. Changing the law of descent. These are one of the things they shall not do. But boy, oh boy, are they doing it. Okay? And, you know, you make a list of some of the laws, man. Y'all need to spend some time and study this joint. Okay? It's a public record, y'all. It's not hidden. It's a public record. Take the filing number that I showed y'all and go look it up in King County District Court in Washington State. Look up that filing number and pull up the injunction and read it for yourself. Read up the laws, the statutes, which all these are bonds, by the way. Bonds. Okay? The basis for diversity of citizenship is vested under 28 U.S.C. 1332. What's the first reasoning? Zodiac Constitution. Library of Congress, AA 222141. Guess what? That's admissible in court as evidence. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The Articles of Confederation. Okay? The bonds. These are the bonds we use specifically in this injunction against the government. USC 18-1091, genocide. $1 million in lawful money, consideration, gold, silver, land, and estate. USC 18-1203, hostage taking. This is what we call kidnapping. It's really hostage taking. Punishable by death, imprisonment for any term of years or life imprisonment. USC 18-2332A, use of weapons of mass destructions. Don't these so-called cops or policemen, don't they have weapons of mass destruction on their hip? Right? Punishable by death, imprisonment for any term of years or life imprisonment. USC 18-2340, definitions. Okay? And as you can see, we're dealing in equity because everything is dealing in lawful money, consideration, gold, silver, land, and estate. USC Title 18-241, y'all know this one, conspiracy against rights. 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. Y'all know that. But what about 18-247? Did y'all know about this one? Damage to religious property, obstruction of persons in the free exercise of religious beliefs. Hold on. Let's go back to the Northwest Ordinance. Hold on. Hold on, my friend. Where we at? What's it say right here? Religion, right? Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind. So mankind ain't too happy right now, y'all. And we not mankind, but you know what I mean. Okay? So religion, hello, religion. That's why you create a trust. You set a religion or establish a religion for that trust. That way, whatever you do in the name of that trust is protected underneath religion. I'll give you a prime example. Look at this. This is Washington State Constitution. Because remember, every republic is built off of civil and religious freedom, right? So this is the Washington State Constitution. So you better bet that all these states are still a part of the Confederacy. So if that's the case, right, you will find this or article like this in every constitution. So check this out right here. The preamble, Article 1, Declaration of Rights, right? Then you got Article that's 11. See? Religious freedom. Let's go. Legal. Right here. Declaration of Rights, right? All political power is inherent in the people, and governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. This is Washington State Constitution, y'all. This is the state personality I'm dealing with, right? Section 2, Supreme Law of the Land. The Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the land. Section 3, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Okay. Section 7, invasion of private affairs or home prohibited. No person shall be disturbed in his private affairs or his home invaded without authority of law. Private property, y'all. Right here. Section 11, religious freedom. Absolute freedom of conscience. Let me make this bigger so y'all can read this. Let's see this. Absolute freedom of conscience in all matters of religious sentiment, belief, and worship shall be guaranteed to every individual, and no one shall be molested or disturbed in person or property. Read that again. Absolute freedom of conscience in all matters of religious sentiment, belief, and worship shall be guaranteed to every individual, and no one shall be molested or disturbed in person or property on account of religion. But the liberty of conscience, right? This is when they say liberty of conscience, hereby secured, shall not be so construed as to excuse acts of licentiousness, meaning you avoiding dealing with issues, or like, you know, your person that creates a debt and then avoids paying it. Okay? Licentiousness or justified practices inconsistent with the peace of the safety of the state. No public money or property shall be appropriated for or applied to any religious worship, exercise, or instruction, or the support of any religious establishment, provided, however, that this article shall not be so construed as to forbid the employment by the state of a chaplain for such the state custodial, correctional, and mental institutions, or by a county's or public hospital's district, hospital, healthcare facility, or hospice, as in the discretion of the legislature may seem justified. No religious qualification shall be required for any public office or employment, nor shall any person be incompetent as a witness or juror in consequence of his opinion on matters of religion, nor be questioned in any court of justice touching his religious belief to affect the weight of his testimony. They can't touch your religious belief. I'm trying to tell y'all. All right? So read that. USC Title 18247. Damage to religious property, obstruction of persons in the free exercise of religious beliefs. Punishable by death, imprisonment for any term of years, life imprisonment, and $9 million in lawful money, consideration, gold, silver, land, and estate. Okay? So the full lien amount on this bond is $54 million in lawful money, consideration, gold, silver, estate, and land. What is the statement of claim? The fact is the United States is bankrupt, insolvent, and has no sovereign authority existing in name only to this day, to this first day, 23rd cycle, 1432, 10/4/2007. Of course, at that time, I knew what I knew. So for me, at that time, it was 1432, according to my knowledge. We both know it's 1439, but it's cool. Bankrupt in 1933 and was declared so by President Roosevelt by Executive Orders 6073, 6102, and 6111, and by Executive Order 6260 on March 9th, 1933, under the Trading with the Enemy Act of October 6, 1917. So, you know, we're not bullshitting here. We're giving them precise documents, the executive order numbers, and the dates. As amended by the Emergency Banking Relief Act, 48 Statute 1 Public Law Number 1, which is presently codified at 12 U.S.C. A 95A and confirmed at 95B. Okay? Thereafter, Congress confirmed the bankruptcy on June 5th, 1933, and thereupon impaired the obligations and considerations of contracts through the joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause. Yeah, I can go through all that yourself. And here's the bankruptcy of the United States. Okay, quote for quote by James Traficant. I've read that too many times. Okay, and then you list some of the things that you want to be taken care of. Take notice: the people's unalienable right to life, liberty, property, due process, and just compensation for private property have been violated in the past, protected by the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the Articles of Confederation, the Zodiac Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution for the United States of America, and the Constitution for Sunoshi Amuru Republic. Take notice: the people's unalienable right to travel have been violated in the past. Take notice: the people's unalienable rights to secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects to be secure against unreasonable searches and seizures without a warrant signed by a judge stating the probable cause supported by oath of affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized have been violated in the past. Just so you know, with the Fourth Amendment, that warrant signed by a judge is supposed to state particularly the place to be searched and the property or persons to be seized. Take notice that we, the people, demand the defendants to put the titles of the plaintiffs and all future members of Sunoshi Amuru Republic on the Do Not Stop, Do Not Detain list for Washington, D.C., Washington State, and all other corporate states. We, the people, reserve and retain all of our rights protected by the above set general laws. We, the people, do not waive any rights. All defendants abide by your oaths to the Constitution, which are in constitutional alignment with the general laws cited. None pro tunc. Now for then. E. Take notice that the trespass of the unalienable rights of any of the people of Sunoshi Amuru Republic is a trespass against this state. There is a bond of the $54 million in lawful money consideration. F. Take notice the defendants dependent on the corporate jurisdiction of the violator shall be charged $9,000 in lawful money consideration, gold and silver and estates per violation on relief for damages for any and every action by any public official to the people and their estate. Hello, to me and my estate. We all have a estate. Take notice that this is a covenant. Your failure to answer and rebut this affidavit point for point is tacit acquiescence. You have 72 hours to respond in writing via affidavit, rebutting point for point the facts stated in this injunction. Otherwise, this covenant stands as law. Take notice that this injunction is to be executed without delay because the general welfare of the people of Sunoshi Amuru Republic are at urgent risk of being damaged or injured by the defendants and their agents. And then, of course, you know, we were going through a foreclosure at the time, so we made sure to secure a property within our injunction as well. Okay? That was properly due us, and it's also in the case records for the foreclosure. All right. Okay. And also in alignment with, you know, the property to show that tribal brother is of sound mind as heir of the estate and member of Sunoshi Amuru Republic, has exercised and executed his right of reversion of estate and register the following parcel of land under the Torrance system to Sunoshi Amuru Republic. And that's the filing number that we filed. That's on the record for that property. Okay. Take notice that any foreign persons who claim to have an interest to the estate that supersedes that of the people of Sunoshi Amuru Republic by hereditaments, just solely and just sanguinis, the claimant must show and prove it in writing under the penalty of the perjury certified by a notary signature, stating in common terms that I claim it, accept the liabilities of the United States Codes, Title 18, 1091, genocide. Upon failure of such claimants to lawfully show and prove the claimant is the lawful heir of the estate. It's just how you lock their ass out. Okay? And then these are the defendants, y'all. These are the defendants. I know it's a lot of them. I actually went down to every state, found every goddamn state governor. Every one, y'all. Every single one. And then I got the dates that all of these states came into existence. You see that? See that? This is all in the injunction. So nobody's playing around. Okay? And of course it was signed and sealed. But you got to be right and exact with this, y'all. You got to show them that you're competent. You're not playing around. Okay? So Phil Scott, he's the governor of Vermont. This guy's name is Paul LePage, governor of Maine. Jim Justice, the governor of West Virginia. Dennis Doggett, governor of South Dakota. As you can see, a lot of European faces. As you could tell, a lot of European faces. Okay. That lets you know what time it is, y'all. We're under colonial occupation. You know why? Because everyone who's holding seats on our land look like this. And this is not how we, as indigenous peoples, look. Us. That don't look like us. Okay? So, now I know people's like, yo, what about the plaintiffs? Now I don't know if this is an older version, but the plaintiffs list is a whole lot longer than just my name. That is not what is on file, actually. The plaintiffs list. Let's make sure. Oh yeah, we Gucci. You know what I'm saying? The list is very, very long. You see that though? So you can see. See that? These are the plaintiffs for Tsunoshima Republic. See that list? Okay? So when we say the people are suing, yes, the people. And they're all in their free national titles. All in their proper person. Nothing but L's and B's. All day. Okay? So, and that's pretty much the injunction, right? Other than that, you file it, you notify the parties who are, you notify the defendants, either to certify mail or you utilize the sheriff. You know what I'm saying? And then you just take it from there. Like I said, we got a court date set up, so once November 5th hit, then we're going to handle it from there. Okay? But with that being said, fam, I'm going to close this video out. I appreciate y'all for the support and continued support. I just want to state that my Wiz has a new radio show now. It's called The Whole Truth. I'm very proud of her, by the way. Very, very proud of her. Very proud of her. Okay? So she has a radio show now. Okay? It's called The Whole Truth with your host, Khaleesi the Wisdom Wordsmith. Positive Talk Radio. Every Monday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Alternative Talk Radio. Here's the website. And I'm just going to leave this thing up here briefly so you can have a read of what she wrote. There we go. Okay. And come Monday, she'll be having me on as a guest. Talk about some particular topics that are most important to us as indigenous peoples.
So come check us out on Monday. Every Monday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. The whole truth. Support my whiz, y'all. Show the support. It is not. So with that being said, fam, I want to thank y'all. And, you know, let's keep this information going, build it, take from it, push it forward, and let's get to what we need to get to together. All right, family. It's your brother Cool. Peace.
Ill Music Entertainment.
Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. Study, study to know what trust is they'll violate at any moment. Minorities, they don't be on it. Walk on eggshells, keep it cautious. Anxiety, I'm feeling nauseous. Ignorance is bliss till you learn what the cost is. And Moors, we on the rise. Look at us now. Push the mission forward. Make the prophet proud. Noble Jew Ali, welcome to the city. 4th generation. No, he walking with me, more shit. Woke up, realized I was on a war ship. Trading me like chattel property. Trading places, playing Monopoly. Authentic, can't copy me. Lies, can't rock with me. Truth, ever sharpens me. Love, despite you mocking me.